Hey guys, Warman here. Yes, we're talking about stuff with Medieval 3 again because, well, there's still some more stuff to talk about. I want to elaborate on something I briefly touched on in the previous video. The concept art of these units. I only talked about the issues with the shields, but there's other stuff to talk about here as well. So in this video, we are going to be talking about the good stuff with Creative Assembly's units, the bad stuff with their units. Then we're going to give our suggestions for how Creative Assembly can improve those units, go into the process of how we create our rosters, the ups and downs that we've had with this, and we are going to have a mock-up at the end showing how we would improve the same units that Creative Assembly showed. So there is a lot to talk about here, and this is probably going to be a bit rambly, but unfortunately that's just how it has to be with this because there's so much to talk about. Before we get into this, I want to make it abundantly clear the headspace and the place this video is coming from, because something like this can easily be misconstrued as insincerity, talking in bad faith, and just being an asshole, and that's not the intent behind this at all. Just like some of the stuff I was mentioning in the other video, I'm trying to feed into and nurture the mindset that Creative Assembly seems to be having with this game, which is they're trying to be more open and transparent about development, taking feedback from the community and stuff like that. I understand that a lot of people are upset about the fact that the game is so far away, and I totally understand people's skepticism with what Creative Assembly is saying here. They're rightfully concerned that this is all just marketing mumbo jumbo, that it's all just going to be like fluff and they're not actually going to back this stuff up. And yeah, that is absolutely a possibility, but I see an opportunity here that I feel like most people just haven't considered. Because the game is so early in development, now is the perfect time to let our criticisms and concerns and desires known, before stuff gets locked in. You know what I mean? Before stuff gets locked in, now is the perfect time to bring up concerns. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, Warman, you're sounding way too optimistic about this. We have no reason to believe that Creative Assembly is actually going to follow through with any of this. And that's true, but I don't see any harm in trying. You know what I mean? If nothing else, it can't be said that we didn't try and help them course correct here. We also have to consider the fact that Creative Assembly is viewing Medieval 3 as a rebirth of the historical brand, of the historical titles. We have this one chance to try and nudge Creative Assembly towards making their games more historically accurate. I know it's easy to look at the inaccuracies in the artwork here and view this as another symptom of Creative Assembly's fall from grace, how they're like making a lot of big mistakes and blah blah blah, and I understand that. While that is indeed a major point of criticism, it's actually the other way around, because Creative Assembly has never been good with accuracy when it comes to their historical titles, and this can be traced back to the supposed golden age of Rome Total War. Seriously, like, if you look at how Creative Assembly was during the supposed golden age of Rome Total War in Medieval 2, their stuff was abysmal in accuracy. Again, it's not like there weren't any good things there, but still, seriously, like some of the very first overhauls, like Europa Barbarum, came about because you had disgruntled users that didn't like how accurate the games are. And ever since Rome 1, that's been the dynamic. Creative Assembly makes a Total War game that's inaccurate, modders make more accurate mods. It's almost like an arms race, because Creative Assembly has been gradually making the games more and more accurate. Rome 2 was way more accurate than Rome 1, but it was still heavily criticized. It feels like just due to the nature of how Creative Assembly does these things, they are always a step behind what modders and players want. If we can mitigate this, this is a rare opportunity to try and do so. So with that lengthy preamble out of the way, let's get into this because there's a lot to talk about here. First things first, we're going to be talking about the issues with Creative Assembly's units as well as the positives, and things actually get more confusing and interesting the more you look at it. We'll get to that later. First and foremost, I want to make one thing clear. Even if these units are far from accurate, it's still better than Medieval 2. And to be honest, aside from the shields, these units look good on their own merit. If this is what they ended up going with, aside from the shields, these units actually would be fine. I mean, they would look good in the new engine. It would still be closer to reality than what we've seen before. And that goes double for these guys, but again, we'll get to that later. So aside from the shields, the bulk of the criticisms I have are strictly in terms of the historical accuracy. Now, I know I've been saying that a lot, but what do I mean? As some people pointed out already, the biggest issue with the unit art scene here is we believe that they took inspiration almost completely wholecloth from the Osprey books. A lot of the artwork that is floating around online when it comes to like Spanish stuff is from them, and yeah, here's the big issue with going with stuff like this. When you're basing your units off modern recreations and modern interpretations, you run the risk of inheriting the inaccuracies and issues that same artwork has. If you're wondering specifically what's wrong with Osprey, let's just say that the depictions that we see are 40 to 80 years out of date. Yeah, not exactly a good thing to take reference from that alone. And Osprey and the works of Agnes McBride aren't really viewed favorably by the academic community, and it's generally just viewed as like, if you're gonna make your stuff historically accurate, don't go with Osprey. And unfortunately, at least with this character sheet, that's exactly what Creative Assembly did. To make things even more confusing though, we also need to talk about this set. This is weird because aside from the tassets looking a little bit funky, these units look fine. In fact, check this out. Here is one of the 3 guys we saw in the artwork compared with a variant of the halberdiers from our mod. See, it looks almost exactly the same. Consider this an endorsement because this is actually perfectly fine. And this is where it gets so confusing for me because I don't understand how one sheet is a ripoff of Osprey and the other one is way closer. I don't understand what happened here. Obviously, I'm hoping someone from Creative Assembly is watching this. Please clarify what the heck was going on here, because I'm genuinely curious. A lot of people seem to think that the concept art was slapdash together for the showcase. I don't agree with that, except for with the Osprey stuff. So any kind of clarification or insight would be great. So I got an update on this front. Apparently Creative Assembly mentioned in one of their forum posts recently that they had basically been working on Medieval 3 for like almost a year. So yeah, they've been probably working on stuff like this concept art for quite a few months. So yeah, I was precisely right. Now I still don't know if the Osprey stuff falls under that, but yeah, take from that what you will. Now I know some of you might be thinking, alright Warman, well what do you think they should do? Simple. Base your depictions off the primary sources. Whether we're talking about records available at the time or transcribed via academic stuff, or by examining artwork that was created at the time. And for this study, we are only going to be talking about medieval Spain because, to be honest, aside from the art of the Mamluk and the Templar, all the artwork that was shown at the showcase was of medieval Spain. So clearly that's the region that they've done the most with right now. And Creative Assembly is in luck because there are plenty of visual examples to go off of. And you're going to be seeing them on the screen all throughout this. This is where we got a lot of the insight for how we develop things for the Spanish rosters. As you can see, it's quite different from what Creative Assembly did. I mean, there's some similarities. Some of the helmets are kind of close, but look at the color, look at the shields. The shields are so different. They're like this rounded heater type. The way the color is on the sleeves. It's not like they're on some stuff that you could repurpose from other European rosters. As you can see, there are great helms here intermixed with other stuff, but the triangle banners, the colored helms, it has a very distinct look. And as you can see, that has reflected in how we depicted the units in our mod. Obviously, we still had to fill some gaps a little bit, but for the most part, this is what we did. Creative Assembly should have historians on the payroll and have more resources, so they should be able to do even more in this regard, if they've even considered doing it that way, which I hope they will after this. Now, I need to make it clear that we have also struggled with interpretations and stuff in the past. For example, in the early days of our mod, we also took inspiration from Osprey and stuff that we shouldn't have. Not to mention we were also kind of hamstrung by having to go with models that already existed because we still hadn't learned how to make our own stuff yet. And a good example of this progression would be Aragon, because the newer depiction you're seeing here was put together by Banksy. However, here is the older version of Aragon, created by yours truly. God damn it. I know this was fine for its time, but jeez, this has not aged well. And by the way, these screenshots are almost 10 years old. Jesus H. Christ. I mean, you can see where I was kind of trying to recreate what was in the stuff, but it still wasn't quite right. The heaters are different. Everything just looks rough. Oh, and by the way, I know people have rightfully criticized the halberd shield combination, but, well, look at what I did. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not exactly one to talk here. But yeah, so we absolutely have struggled with this in the past as well. But again, we grew and got better, and we went back and fixed stuff to make it more accurate when we revamped these rosters. What I am hoping, by the way, is that this art here from Creative Assembly is actually more reflective of the process they are doing, and that they only did this as a way to have more visuals to show at the showcase. Before we get to the comparison, I just want to put this out there. If anyone from Creative Assembly is watching this, while I think you guys should be able to find the same sources we did without our involvement, If you want us to give you our sources, let us know. We are more than willing to provide that. All you have to do is ask. But again, you shouldn't have to. You have historians, you have resources. I just hope you can utilize them. Now here's the moment you've all been waiting for. Here is the mock-up that Banksy has put together, basically recreating the same units Creative Assembly did, but to be more accurate. And as you can see, it has everything unique that I had said earlier. Rounded heater shields, colored helms, the colored sleeves, it's all there. So there's one thing I need to note regarding what we did with our version of some of these units. The way Creative Assembly structured their roster is slightly different from how it probably should be. They have foot sergeants and mountain sergeants as kind of like one unit type. We respectfully disagree with this interpretation, which is why we have them as separate distinct things here. Again, there's some similarities, but there are some slight differences. Also, having a polearm unit for the Iberians in the 11 and 1200s really wasn't a thing, so the closest equivalent unit we could find to go with was the pike unit, which we do have a basis for. Now, when we're talking about later centuries like the 1300s and the 1400s, there is a polearm unit, which is reflected by the Vulgaire here. So while there are some slight differences, we think that these are close enough to be usable. I understand that people working at Creative Assembly have deadlines. I know that they have to get stuff approved. Obviously, I'm expecting some oversimplification from that. I'm also expecting less variants overall, because we have like a dozen variants for many of our units. I know that there's no way they're going to be able to do the same thing, but I'm hoping that this could nudge Creative Assembly in the right direction, especially if they are using Osprey as a main point of reference for their units. I hope that this can give them a way better alternative and something to use. And like I said in the beginning, if nothing changes, then so be it. At least we tried to nudge Creative Assembly in the right direction. I don't want people harassing Creative Assembly over this, by the way. Be civil, be constructive, and try and embrace the rare opportunity we have. So that is basically it. I will see you guys later.